Tuperas y tuperas, today on Doop by the River, we're going to be looking back at Saturday's match against the Chicago Fire. What a thrilling win that was. And, of course, we're going to be looking at our midweek match down in Dallas against FC Dallas. Don't you dare go anywhere, guys, because you do not want to miss this episode of Doop by the River. Let's get it started, guys. Hey, done!
Doop by the River
doesn't do anything well. There is not one.
I'm sorry. There was no creativity.
As a Union fan, I'd take that all day.
Another DP. We need to go get Mario Balotelli.
And that is right. Welcome, everyone, to Doop by the River, the show where we follow everything Philadelphia Union. Of course, we are brought to you by Philly Sports Network. Before we dive into today's episode of Doop by the River, real quick, we are live right now on El Parcelo Phillies YouTube channel. Make sure you guys hit the like button, subscribe for all of your live viewings of Doop by the River. And, of course, you can find us wherever you stream podcasts from Apple, Google, Spotify. Find us under Doop by the River podcast. All right, ladies and gentlemen, of course, I am joined today by my man, Justin Big Ball BBQ Friedberg. Justin, what's going on, brother? How you feeling, man?
You know, another busy week. This time we got 2 games in hand. Gonna be a wild stretch to the end of the season, but it's looking pretty good so far.
Should be fun, man. It should be a lot of fun, and obviously, we got like less than 10 matches left here in the season, so getting to the nitty gritty of the things with our blue and gold, man. It should be fun down the ride, man. And we still got, listen, Jim said it today, Supporter Shield is still in there for the take. Obviously, LAFC will be tough to catch up with them, but it's going to be a fun ride, Justin. I'm excited to get to it, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I mean, at this point, you know, first in the East, it doesn't matter. As long as at the end of the day you're hosting that MLS Cup.
Yes, sir. Absolutely, man. I do appreciate everyone hanging tight with us. Obviously, as we all know, I've been trying to move into my new house and got Wi-Fi today. This is the first live recording that we're able to do it. So I had a little technical difficulties, but as always, Justin, we figure it out. We always find a way to figure it out, man. We're like the Union, man. We always find a way to figure it out. We'll put a bunch of homegrowns out there for the Eastern Conference Finals.
Listen, wouldn't be a Doop by the River if there wasn't some technical difficulties. But we're like Ali Bedelia, you know, we're crafty veterans. Like we figure out a way.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. All right. Well, listen, Justin, we got a jam-packed episode. We got some fun things to talk about. I want to start off first by the actions that we saw here today live from the gateway to the west. That is St. Louis, as it looks like St. Louis City is what they're calling themselves, right? If I'm not mistaken.
St. Louis SC, I think, is the official.
Okay. Well, they had, I guess, a couple of different soccer people there today, kind of checking out the new grounds, what's going to be in St. Louis. It was pretty damn cool, Justin, and I'm going to post it up here so people can see, but it's definitely a great first sign here for St. Louis. Obviously, they've been doing a good job of starting off, obviously, the youth academy already. It's happening. In a great shape as well, but this is the new ground, Justin, and it looks pretty damn beautiful, I must say, man. It looks like a modern style European grounds. Reminds me a little bit of Austin. Obviously, the standing ground, something that supporter section, definitely what you want to see. But what are you thinking about this ground, Justin? You ready for a trip to St. Louis?
Genuinely, yeah. I mean, looking at the first thing I noticed is the dimensions are going to be tight, and not like New York City tight where there's not be able to fit a soccer field on there. It's, you know, the stands are kind of like crowding the field. Like you could really create a legit home field advantage with how close it is and how crazy it can get, you know, at soccer games. So this generally looks like it's some a solid ground, and hell, I would love to go out there for a game at this point.
Absolutely, myself as well, man. So it looks really great. I mean, you know me, I have high hopes for St. Louis. I think it's a great soccer city, and I think that it's a great. I think it's a great sports city. And I think that it's only going to get started here for St. Louis. They're building the culture there. Slowly but surely, they're going to have a great product to show here, and it's about continuing to find these little soccer cities, man, and growing the sport here in the country. And I think that St. Louis is doing a fantastic job of doing that, man. So I'm excited to see what else they're going to do next, man. All right, moving on next to our next topic, Justin. I wanted to talk a little bit about just supporters culture in general. Look, you and I obviously are big supporters of the sport. You know, we always have been known to be in the stands for whatever game it may be for the Philadelphia Union. But it just feels like over the past year, it's been definitely tough trying to find ways to stand in the supporter sections, I would say. This past weekend, obviously, we saw what happened in Austin with the fan in the stands, you know, recording themselves, something that obviously Tim has been doing a great job of doing for DOOP by the Recount, showing the action that's going on in the stands. Obviously, you know, myself, I was a big vlogger myself, and you know, you had the Austin, I guess it was a capo, just squirting some water on the fan, like, because they wanted to record. Like, to me, like, I was just absolutely ridiculous. First off, your thoughts on that, Justin? Like, we're not allowed to record in the stands now?
Oh, you're understanding it. They were squirting. They were dumping an entire big cup of water, like the cups you see when we have the, you know, rivalry game stuff on that. Listen, I think that's absolutely stupid. Should people be on their phones the whole time? No, but you also have no right. Like, this is the very definition of gatekeeping, and gatekeeping in American soccer supporter culture is a massive problem. It's relevant in all supporters groups. You know, it's people that, like, no cell phones. You should be sending the whole time. You should be singing. Blah blah. Like, we should all feel like we should all try to be on the same page and not set such ridiculous and arbitrary, you know, posts for people to have to move, you know, to crowd in between. And it frustrates me because I love the sport. I love this team. I love the league. I love soccer in general. You know me. I live and breathe it. It is one of this. I can't get enough of it. But at the same time, this is one of the biggest problems in the sport. And specifically, this is one of the biggest problems in American soccer. And it frustrates me. Listen, that capo absolutely crossed the line. That is not cool. Not by a remote stretch. Anyone who defends this person and calls him like a hero and calls him blah blah blah, no, that's idiotic. Like, there are better ways to approach that. Be like, you know, being like, hey, you know, join in on singing. You put the phone down. Like, not throwing water at somebody. Like, what? Like, that is absolutely stupid. It's moronic. And I've seen people defending this person, and it's ridiculous. Like, I don't condone that kind of behavior. That's ridiculous. Like, we're all adults here. We're all trying to support the same teams at the end of the day. Why are you being more difficult? Like, you know, like, God forbid if someone, you know, like, if we had a capo that did that to Tim while he's doing content, like, I know Tim wouldn't take that. Like, but also, like, it'd be unnecessary confrontation. It's stupid. It's childish. It's idiotic, and it's a big problem that needs to be addressed in this country's soccer culture.
Yeah, I mean, we've obviously seen, like, our fair share of, like, actions of gatekeeping. This is what we'll definitely call it. This is definitely an action of gatekeeping. And I'll put it this way. If it wasn't for Tim giving us those scenes from the supporter section, like, people like myself, like, I don't, you know me, like, this year I haven't really gone to too many games, but seeing the game through the eyes of Tim is something special, and people obviously are appreciating that. And I think that when you're talking about what we just talked about with the St. Louis stuff, seeing the growth of our sport, those are the type of things that help with the growth of our sport. You remember last year, Justin, when during the Red Bull game in the playoffs, and Jakob Glazes scores that game-winning goal, and obviously, like, I wanted to record myself because to me that was such a special moment, and I wanted to remember that for a lifetime. And obviously there was people who felt the same way and appreciated that, but you don't get that without being able to record stuff in the supporter section. And to me, anything that is able to highlight what this culture is, you have to be able to continue it. And I don't care for that. And whoever that Kappa was, I hope someone is giving a talk to. If that's something that's a culture within the supporters group, the president is okay with this, then that's a bigger problem on its own, especially a new club like Austin, Justin.
Like, I think also, like, you know, it seems to be a common thing with these teams that, like, I mean, think about Austin's good in their second year. They're already this good, and they're already like LAFC. I know has had issues like this. Even Inter Miami hasn't been good, and they've had like there every team. DC had this for a while with a bunch of their supporters. Like, it's not an uncommon thing, but it should not be condoned, and I really genuinely hope that Capo gets a talking to, because it's not a great look. Like, again, you're gonna have the idiots that are gonna defend this, but for the most part, people are gonna go, "Is this the type of bullshit that I'd expect if I went to an Austin game and I just so happened to be in the supporter section? Like, are you kidding me? Like, that's ridiculous."
That is. To that point as well. I want to give a big shout out to Heather. We love ourselves some Heather over here. She wanted to wear her Brennan Aronson jersey, and obviously, we saw what went down on Twitter. But it does bring up a good discussion. For myself, I will say this. I personally do not care what jersey you wear to the game. Now, I will say this. I don't like having the different jerseys in the supporter section. Now, in the rest of the stadium, wear whatever jersey you want. You want to wear your Bayern Munich, you want to wear your Valencia jersey. I do not care. The one thing I always have been a pet peeve about was, like, if I'm at the Phillies and I see like Eagles jerseys, that's a different story. But we're at a soccer game, and MLS is still pretty damn new. And if you're wearing your Bayern Munich jersey, it really does not bother me whatsoever. There were some people who had a problem with people with wearing their new Leeds shirt with Brandon Aronson. For me personally, don't understand it. I mean, Brandon is a product of the Union. It's like going to a Penn State game and wearing your Saquon Barkley jersey. I think find it the same thing. So again, we're the same topic of gatekeeping, and like, for you, Justin, is there any boundaries when it comes to wearing shirts of the other team?
I mean, it's not even a question of wearing of another, like, of the other team. It's a former player, and like, if it wasn't the Union's colors, that'd be a different story. But it's blue and gold. Like, you can justify getting away with it because it's basically the Union's colors. So, like, I get it. People are like, "Oh, that's not a Union jersey in the sports section." It's like, yeah, but like, the Union have a similar jersey color with their away kits. Like, the yellow is pretty similar, and the blue's lighter, but like, it is what it is. So it's, again, another form of gatekeeping. It's annoying and ridiculous to me that this is even a discussion. Like, it blew up on Twitter because people are just like, at this point, people just have no time on their hands and just and that's honestly, it's one of the reasons why I don't interact as much on Twitter, just because there's stupid arguments left and right, and it's like, I want to check out what transfer news or what tweets, or what D&D memes are available, and I'm seeing people bitching at each other about jerseys, and I'm like, well, all right, I'm logging back off of Twitter. Like, this is ridiculous.
It's like the Simpsons meme. Walks in the restaurant, walks right out.
Literally, that's what I do. Like, I check it for 2 seconds, and I'm like, wow, now this is frustrating. I'm back out.
It is true. I mean, listen, it's sports. You see this all the time in sports fandom. I mean, for me personally, like, I mean, you know me, like, I love the team, and I spend a lot of time talking about this team because I love this team, and I do love the fans. I'm like you. I don't like interacting with it anymore. I'm too busy in my life. I'm trying to furnish a brand new home. I got 4 other sports to keep covering. And so like it just I flat out just don't have time with it. And so like to the point these days, like when I go to the stadium, like I don't even want to sit in the supporter section. Like that's just how I feel these days, Justin. Like I just get so turned off by it. I just want to I'll sit in 115 or 120, whatever it may be. And I'll just relax and watch some soccer. But it's just gotten too much, guys. I'll be honest. It just flat out has gotten way too much these days. And so I love this team, and I want to see this team continue growing. I want to meet new soccer fans. I want to have those interactions with the Mexican soccer fan who may be a fan of Atlas and decided to support the Philadelphia Union. I want to have those pure interactions. And you've had the same thing too, Justin. You've had those great interactions too with the sport, and I just want to continue steering towards that and less towards the ridiculousness of what we're arguing.
Yeah, like especially like the last month or so, like at the Sons of Men tailgates, I've been helping out, passing out, we have a beer tent, that with overflow, we have, various, cans of beer and seltzers and all that. And, me, I'm a bit of a goofball, and I like to talk to people, and, it's like, so, I'll have a a beer in my hand, and I'll be talking, and someone will come up, and, I'll be like, pick your poison. What do you want? Like, start to interact with people. And like people genuinely open up just because it's like, hey, it's like I had new people to talk to, and I meet new people all the time, and people come back the next time and like, hey, you're that guy that was, handing out beers, and I'm like, yeah, what's up? Like it's fun. It gets people to open up, and that's the parts I enjoy about the sport, the getting to meet people, getting to talk to people, and that's the parts I try to focus on now, just because with all everything going on, is like the last thing we need is more bullshit, negativity in our lives. Like it's tough to focus on the positive these days, but that I think that's kind of where I try to pull my attention.
Absolutely, man. I completely agree with you. All right. Well, hey, listen. The one thing that we can all agree on is the Philadelphia Union are fun to watch. They have obviously been looking really solid this year. And of course, let's move forward towards Saturday. Let's look back at Saturday's match against Chicago. And Justin, heading into that match, we're coming off the loss to Cincinnati. It was a weary spot because Union were red hot, winning 5 straight, lose to Cincinnati 3-1, and then you go into the Saturday match back at home against Chicago, and it's a team that beat you early on in the year. So I really did not know what to expect, but I felt like there was a victory here. There was a 3-1 victory here. That was my prediction, and the Union wound up just going a little bit above that with a 4-1 victory here. But right off the gate, I mean, you kind of just saw it. The Union were not playing any stinking games. Gazdak got the goal scoring started, and we'll talk about the front three, but this was a great example of why Carranza, Ua, and Gazdak are the best the best trio in the attack in the MLS. Yes, Andrew Wiebe, this is the best attacking trio in the MLS. You have Ua with a long ball from like midfield, finds Carranza running who's running towards the net, and he megs this defender, finds Gazdak, who's streaking down. Gazdak gets in the box, and right off a stop on the dime, gets this defender. I think it was Federico Navarro, if I'm not mistaken. Navarro just falls right to the ground as Gazdak just stops. And then Gazdak, just as cheeky as it was, kind of chips this bad boy in the left side of the net. And that was the 1-0 lead that the Philadelphia Union needed. We had a Jack Elliott goal. Poor Gaga, man. This kid, I don't know if he's ready for Chelsea. I don't know if he's ready for that level. But this was a bad goal that he allowed. He's trying to get it over the net, and then Jack Elliott's realizing this guy does not know what he's doing. He just chips it in, and then it's 2-0 heading into halftime. I'll say this: Chicago did get back up in the beginning of the second half, 49th minute. A bad turnover by Elliott, gets a goal, but a bad turnover. Some people want to blame Jack McGlynn. To me, that was just a bad pass to Elliott, and then of course it finds what I believe it was Shaqiri, and then of course it gets all the way to Chris Mueller, and Mueller with a great low shot was able to get the 2-1 goal. Now it's a 2-1 lead here now for the Union, and so the Union got to get the ball rolling. Well, a couple minutes later, Union get a little bit of an insurance goal as Mikel Uwak gets a bad touch in the box. It was a great pass by Gazdak, nice through ball. And the ball just kind of falls right to who else but Mr. Julian Carranza. And this is another cheeky goal, Justin. Nice little tap, nice little chipper. Nice little chip in, and that gets the ball in 3-1. You got some substitutions that come in. Corey Burke in the 82nd minute gets the little cherry on top of the beatdown Sunday on the Fire. Great assist by Olivia Bizo, and Burke just showing off the strength, gets the ball in. And, of course, the Union get the 4-1 victory here against them. The lineup stayed the same as far as the formation, and Bizo's got another start as well at the right fullback position. But as we discussed, Justin, Jack McGlynn needs to start. And, in fact, he did. He started at the left shuttle midfielder with Leon Flock starting at the 6, not El Brujito. Justin, what did you think of this? What was your takeaway of this win for the Philadelphia Union?
That, as I've been saying, that this front three is just ridiculous, and I say it, the best front three in the entire league. A front three that the rest of the East should absolutely be looking out for. Like I said, the lineup, the big change was the one we talked about, and one that Jim Curtin said, "Oh well, it was for family reasons." Like, I don't know, like that could have been it, but that enough to gives you an excuse to say, you know what, bro, maybe it's good to have you on the bench. And the Union got out early. They got going, and yeah, on that first goal, I mean, Mikel Uwa turns. He goes down. Ali gives him a nice ball, and he turns just short of midfield and picks out Carranza on like a curling run. It was absolutely perfect. And Carranza, without even taking a touch, just threads the ball right to Gazdag. And Gazdag at first looks like he overran it, and it gives him enough time. Yeah, Navarro goes down. Slanina went down, and essentially he just chips it, and that's 1-0. Then that second goal, man, I'm curious if Chelsea is like reconsidering their because
they just pulled the sail.
because like this is Slanina has had a really bad year when it comes to these kind of errors. Like stat wise, he's not been having a bad season, but he's given up some really bad howlers, and it's another one like what are you doing if you don't feel comfortable with just tip it over the net, take a corner. And he backs up. He runs the ball. He puts the ball right on the crossbar, and then Elliott's like, "Oh, the ball's live!" And he, Johnny on the spot taps it right in. That's 2-0. And yeah, does Elliott make a mistake on the goal and Mueller capitalizes? Yeah, but that was really Chicago didn't have a ton of chances, and the Carranza goal. I mean. Uwa took it was a weird ball, it was a good pass, but I think he just kind of stumbled, so he didn't really get a great I think he would have been better if he had rounded the goalie, but I think he just kind of poked it and forced the needed to an awkward save, and I mean that chip, the audaciousness, that was some those chips go great with some some salsa picante because oh my lord, that the deftest of touches to chip that over and not even give the defender a shot at I looked at it, I was just like, holy shit. Carranza, again, this front three is absolutely informed to the point where they're attempting those. They are going, you know what? I'm gonna score. I'm not gonna put too much on it. I'm just gonna just enough. And we keep Corey Burke says, "Hey, don't forget about me. I'm still here. I'm still contributing." And yeah, it's not the same, but you have Corey Burke on what 5 goals now. You have Gazdag at 12. You have Carranza at 9. You have Uwa at 8. You have probably at least at minimum. You probably are going to have all 3 of your starting front 3 in double digits, which would be the first time you have more than one double-digit goal scorer. If Corey Burke chips in this additional 5 to 10, I mean, you're talking about production that beginning of the season, everyone kept saying, "Where's the offense going to come from? Where's the offense going to come from? Is this front 3 going to do anything?" And yeah, it took a little bit because Carranza is new. Gazdag finally has strikers. Uwa's hurt and visa issues. But man, when they've had the time together, it is absolutely ridiculous and unfair to the rest of the Eastern Conference how good this attack is. And it doesn't feel like there's much in the way of stopping them, especially if they're the number 1 seed and especially if they have a path right to the finals through home field advantage.
Yeah, it's funny because you know me, like I get weary about getting that 1 seed because of the bye week that comes with it. I hate it. But I do feel because if this team does get that 1 seed again, they have gone through it again. So Jim may be able to learn from what happened in 2020 and probably come up with a better game plan preparing for that first playoff game. And just the way this team plays at home, I do think like it would be a different story this time. I'm starting to turn around on my opinion on whether or not we should be getting the 1 seed or not. But to your point, the front three, this trio it doesn't feel like they're definitely gotten better, but it definitely doesn't feel like they have tapped into their full potential. And they're on their way, like I mentioned, but it is truly remarkable. And this was a great game as well. I mean, all those goals were pretty remarkable, but they had some great opportunities too, and they really gave a lot of problems to that back line of Chicago. And it's funny because they were really quiet in Cincinnati. They definitely found a way to bounce back here. Justin, the glass goal I want to talk about real quick. The celebration really to me was very interesting on Corey Burke's behalf. There wasn't a lot of clarity towards it. Now he came out on Facebook, and if you guys didn't see it, Corey Burke scores the goal. Him and Biza go on the sideline. Brandon, I believe his name Brandon Comiskey, the equipment manager. He gives Corey a banana, and him and Mbizo split it. Now, obviously, you guys both know Corey and Olivier are black, and we do know what the banana symbolizes with the sport. It's not a good thing. And so I was questioning things. I was wondering, like, was there a fan that threw racial slurs? I'm like, what was the significance? Now, from what I understood, Justin, it seems as if, like, this was towards racism in the league as a whole. Did you hear anything else about the situation or thoughts on it?
I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. Like from my understanding, I think it was either social media or just general, racism towards African American players. I think initially at first it was like what happened? There wasn't a lot of context at first, and so it was a little confusing. But you know what? More power to Corey. Like he's never been shy about who he is, about how he goes about his business, how he goes about playing the game, how he goes about being a person. And at the end of the day, if that's how he wants to tackle these, chuckleheads that may say or post these things, you know what? I back that.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, I've never experienced that in my life. That's something that you just kind of have to understand and unfortunately know that it's a part of our society that you'd rather not focus on, but it's one that has to be addressed and one that has to to be eradicated at this point because it is 2022. There's no reason that people should be this hateful or ignorant at any point. And so more power to Corey for handling this in the manner that he did. It was subtle. He posted about it later that he's gonna keep going on being him, and he had the full support of a lot of Union fans, and I absolutely put my tip my hat off to him and put myself in his camp, and that's I will absolutely back the players if stuff like this happens. This is a part of the sport I can't stand. It's part of the sport that pisses me off to no end, and it's part of the sport that I work so hard to try to just get out of here because it's like soccer is one of the most inclusive sports in the world, regardless of race, sexual orientation, gender identity, religion. It should not matter. Like
Yeah.
you are a person. You are a soccer player. Let's all enjoy this sport that we all love, and just let's not have this. And yet, it's always going to come up, and that's the sad thing. But more power to Corey for handling it the way he did.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It definitely takes a lot of guts to do that as well, and people don't realize that. But I really do commend him for it. It just to me, like I just want a little more clarity. What was the significance of it, or what exactly happened? But kudos to him. He got another goal, and he does get a lot of slack throughout this fan base. I mean, me, Justin. I know what he is, so I don't really get too mad about seeing him out on the pitch. There are some things that he can kind of help us out with, and there's some things that he just kind of lacks, and that's just who Corey is. But his story is truly remarkable, and we're definitely going to need him going down the line. There's not many players that can run and do the things that he does as well, so it is definitely big. I want to look at the midfield real quick, Justin. Jack McGlynn got to start. Now, he was kind of quiet on the day, but I felt like the threat of having him in there and having the teams having tape on him as well, I felt like the threat was everything for it. And I do feel like, Justin, that going forward, the tough part for Jim will be Jack's got to be in the starting lineup. The tough part has to be what do you do at the sixth position? But the way I look at it, Jack has to be there every single match, starting whether you do a 4-4-2 diamond or 4-2-3-1. But who starts as that other central defensive midfielder? How you feel about that?
Yeah, I think Jack McGlynn has given Jim a much more difficult, question, to answer that I think he had at the beginning of the season. It is something that I never thought. Like, I thought the kids would get more time, but I didn't think anything like this. And the thing that Jack McGlynn offers is he offers that threat of a release valve. He can either do that quick pass and set someone else up to take the deep bomb, or he can get that pass and break the offense open. And I think that's what teams are having to account for more. And it's why, he didn't have the same kind of game he's had in the past. But I think that just goes to show that teams have we should be focused on the front three. Well, what about this kid that can pick out dime passes and just drop absolute dimes over the top? It's like that is something you have to look out for. And at the end of the day, it creates a lot of tactical adjustments for other teams to have to make. And it is a great problem for Jim Curtin to have.
So who do you go with at the six now? Who's like obviously you want to see rotation, right? Like, it is Jim. You want to see some rotation, but who would be your top option to six? Would it be Leon or would it be Brujo?
For me, it's Leon.
Okay.
And I think it's simply for the stability he provides. Like, I like Brujo. He's an absolute destroyer, and he occasionally can have those passes. But it's the volatility. It's sometimes it's the heavy touches. I mean, in midfield at the six, you can't be taking those kind of crazy heavy touches. And Leon dribbling, he keeps it tight, he keeps it close, and he dribbles out of pressure. He has that ability, that athleticism to dribble out of pressure. And I know when we talked to him, he said, that this and the six in this system is not him, but he seems to excel at it. Like, he can allow other players to be the passers, to be the runners crashing into the box. Like, having someone like Leon allows Ali to be that late runner after the front three has already crashed the box, and it gives even the defense the freedom to roam up. It gives the fullbacks the ability to roam up because Leon's gonna track back and gonna track back well. So for me, the honest answer is Leon. I mean, don't get me wrong, El Brujo is a top six. The problem is Leon provides such more athleticism in that position that it's easy to just say, you know what, we can put Leon in there because we can essentially load our midfield with a lot more attacking options.
Yeah, I'm a Brujo stan, far for you, but I see what you're saying. And I did feel like Leon Flock had a really solid game. I thought he did a really good job at that 6 role, and especially defensively. But I just feel, especially like when you play like those tough teams, having a Brujo and just the kind of mentality. I know the mentality and the way he plays, that physicality can be a detriment to him, but also could be a strength. And Brujo has yet to find the balance, and that's been the problem. And I really do hope that possibly having Leon now kind of pushing, because like now, like if Bruno doesn't have a set spot on this team, like Leon looked really good, and we'll see how Jim decides to handle this rotation going forward into tomorrow night's match and on Saturday's match as well. But I mean, El Brujito, you got to stop with the shithousery, man. We appreciate it sometimes, but sometimes it puts us in a tough spot. And so we'll see what comes about it. Another thing I was really pleased to see was Kai Wagner. Now, I don't think he was, he's very flashy, but he also wasn't bad either. And that's the one thing I was looking forward to, because we do know, Justin, that when there's rumors around Kai surrounding Europe, typically he comes out in a match and he doesn't look too sharp. And I thought in this one, he actually looked pretty good.
Yeah, I think Kai is absolutely, like, I mean, listen, we know what he can bring to the offense.
Right.
But the one thing that tends to be overlooked from time to time is his defensive ability, because he has that athleticism. Like Leon, he can track back. He absolutely can get back. He can create absolute nightmares for opposing wingers. And at the end of the day, it's a reason why he's been rumored to, going where he might be going. And it's like, obviously it's going to be a tough replacement for him whenever he leaves, but man, it's an enjoyment to watch him bomb up and down that wing.
Absolutely, man. It definitely was. Any last thoughts on this match before we move forward?
I think this is, something that we expected. I think a lot of Union fans were already panicking after Cincinnati, and I think the fact that NYCFC lost, you now have a 6-point cushion, on them. They have a game in hand. You have a 5-point cushion on Montreal. You are starting to separate yourselves. And if you can keep this going, listen, you're not missing the playoffs. You're pushing yourself far and farther from that playoff line. The thing is, can you separate yourselves even from second and third? I mean, LAFC is doing that right now, and the Union are slowly starting to do that. I think they can. They just got to keep consistency with this.
That's all it is, man. I completely agree with you. All right, Justin. So let's move forward, guys. And so with the technical difficulties, we do have an interview with Buzz Carrick of the thirddegree.net, but I don't want to run into any more technical difficulties. So what we'll do, guys, I will post this both on the YouTube channel and as well on the DOOP by the River podcasting stream site, so you guys can listen to it, because it was a good one. And Buzz is doing a really good job down there in Dallas. He's been doing this since 1997. So this man has seen it all.
Man, the Dallas Burn days. Holy shit. He's an OG.
Dude, it's a good one. So I definitely want you guys to definitely catch that. So we're going to post this right after it. But Justin, I want to hear from you, man. Just real quick, like, how do you feel about this, man? Because it's going to be a tough one, man. Midweek, heading down to Dallas, and we talked about with Buzz. It could feel like 98 degrees, even at night in Dallas. So how are you feeling about this match right off the jump?
I mean, I'm not going to say nervous, but going down to Dallas midweek, especially in the summer, that's a tough ask. I mean, we said that about Orlando when they came out with a ugly-ass victory. So I think with this game, you're going to be a little more conservative. I definitely think that there will be some lineup changes, but I think it's going to be that, can you grit out a draw, and can you smash and grab maybe 3 points?
That's a good point. What do you think the lineup will be on Wednesday night? A little rotation?
So I think the biggest thing for me, I see Nate coming in for Olivier. And the reason I see that is because of Paul Arriola and Jesus Ferreira. I think they kind of interchange, and Alan Velasquez, they interchange going down the wings. And I think Nate provides a bit more of that defensive stability. He does have the ability to get back. That one-on-one matchup, I would absolutely love to see Nate taking on Paul Arriola. In the midfield, I feel like you're going to have El Brujo. And I think the reason you are is because you're going to need that physicality to break up that midfield in that front three between Velasco, Ferreira, and Arriola. They have been a dynamic front three. And I think, and now with Sebastian Lletget, so people forget Sebastian Lletget is there. So that's another person. Like the last few games he's been traded, he's been doing well there. I think
We saw him like a month ago.
Well, like New England wasn't the right fit for him. Let's be honest. I think that was I mean, we've seen that now with Josie going and all of that and all, and him
And
going.
he scores a goal too.
Yeah, like I feel like New England right now is kind of in a weird spot, but like FC Dallas, their defense is still a question mark. So I think I'm curious if maybe Jack gets in above Leon. Ali's obviously still going to be there. You're going to have Gazdag. I think maybe you might have that Carranza Burke front two.
Okay.
And maybe sub Uwa in, or if Uwa does get in, you sub Burke in early in the second half. Because I think you want to save. I mean, listen, on the road against DC, I think is the game you're definitely going to probably get the 3 points. And this game is going to be, I think, shooting for a draw and maybe smashing and grabbing a win.
Okay. All right. Should be very interesting to see, man. What's the prediction here?
I've been debating it in my head. Like, I know the Union have started to score a bit more, that FC Dallas can score. I think this is going to be a genuinely low-scoring game. I think it's going to be a hot, sticky, ugly affair.
That's for sure.
It is. I'm going with a 1-0 Union victory.
Okay.
It's going to be an ugly goal. It kind of like how the Orlando game where Gazdag scores, the goal's chalked off, and then it's overturned on VAR, and you have some penalty shouts and some very, very dangerous plays and some chippiness. I think that's genuinely I think Jim's just going to want to get out of there with as little scrapes and as little issues as possible. And I think maybe if he sees a victory, if they get up 1-0, I think you throw everything behind the ball and clog up the lanes and force FC Dallas to try to break you down. And the Union have been pretty good about, if they get into a low block, they can defend well. So I feel a 1-0 Union victory, but I could also see a 1-1 draw realistically.
I would definitely take a draw. In that environment, that weather, I'll definitely take a draw against FC Dallas. What's your key for tomorrow?
Stopping their front three.
Yeah.
Like I said, Alan Velasco, Paul Arriola, and Jesus Ferreira. That's a front three that is absolutely dangerous. FC Dallas is kind of flying under the radar. So we'll see. But if you can disrupt their connection, like I'm sure FC Dallas is going to try to disrupt the Union's connection, it'll be a battle of the midfields.
Yeah, I agree, man. It should be a lot of freaking fun. We'll see what happens. We'll obviously be talking about it later on this week as we prepare for DC as well. We'll also have these technical difficulties figured out as well. But we're going to cut this one short here today, guys. Again, reminder, do not miss. We'll have the Buzz Carrick interview right after this. We'll put posts in that. We'll also post that to the podcast streaming sites as well. Ladies and gentlemen, until next time, that is Justin Big Bald BBQ Freiberg. Of course, I am Ed Barcelo Philly, and we're telling you guys to do ball. Talk to you.